this is one of the exciting first phase of sites that we've got in our new partnership with Southwark, where we're building across 4 sites in the first phase. And the way the deal is structured is, can we build as many affordable homes as quickly as possible with a combination of GLA grant and cross-subsidy?
We're optimistic, but we're hopeful there'll be government intervention, I say, into that private sales market. Can they look at, as Paul mentioned, things like stamp duty, things like Help to Buy, just in terms of helping it in the short term, and then it's, if it recovers, can we come back again?
Hello, I'm Toby Fox from 1.5 million new homes, the local government challenge, sponsored by Redloft and Bouygues UK and Mount Anvil and Wates Residential and HTA Design. And every month I'm visiting a different council to find out what works and what has to change in order to get more homes built. This month I've come to the London Borough of Southwark. And next I'm going to talk to Paul and Erin from Wates Residential.
My name is Paul Nicholls. I'm Managing Director for London for Wates Residential. We have a portfolio of relationships with local authorities, housing associations, doing houses and flats for sale and building things for other people. So that's me and our business. I'm here because this is one of the exciting first phase of sites that we've got in our new partnership with Southwark. Where we're building across 4 sites in the first phase, and the way the deal is structured is, can we build as many affordable homes as quickly as possible with a combination of GLA grant and cross-subsidy.
Okay, that makes sense in this market, right? Because it's tough.
It is very tough. I mean, I only do London. We only do sales and construction in London. The business obviously does elsewhere, but it's my baby, my patch, so to speak. And working with local authorities collaboratively, we are having success. So we're building in Wembley, we're building in Havering, we're building in Harrow, we're building with Southwark, all in partnership, in different forms of partnership. And working the schemes really, really hard together. I mean, slowly we're getting things going, but it is really, really challenging. And Southwark's no exception.
Erin, do you want to introduce yourself as well and tell us a bit, dig in a bit more into the challenge? What makes you think you can get over the hurdles to develop?
I'm Erin, Bryant, Regional Development Director at Wates Residential in our London business. And yes, there are certainly challenges at the moment, particularly felt in London. And I think at Wates Residential, we really welcome some of the changes that government are trying to bring in, what the GLA are trying to bring in terms of planning changes. That's definitely going to help unlock things like the design changes.
These are
things like the funding,
the emergency measures that are being consulted on now.
Definitely goes away.
We're recording this in February.
Definitely goes away in helping us get there, but obviously the market is tricky regardless at the moment. So there are challenges, but we're working our way through them and working really strongly together with our partners. So we need that collaboration and partnership to get through these things. So the best way we can kind of push things together are working in partnerships as much as possible.
It's not simplistic. That's the reality. The reality is, we are working in some boroughs, Southwark's a bit better than others, to be honest, where the cost of building the homes is almost as much as they are worth. So when you put funding in it and planning and land value and SIL and Section 106 and stamp duty and various other costs, really, it makes those schemes really, really difficult to make stack. And unfortunately, what's happening at the moment is the GLA is relatively generous with their grant funding, but it's a very temporary solution because all the money is going into affordable homes and we're not getting the cross-subsidy and the mixed tenure estates that we all hope to build and deliver in London.
So you're just getting the affordable homes?
A lot of our schemes, not in Southwark, but a lot of our schemes have converted into affordable-only homes to make them viable and make them work with high levels of cross-subsidy from the GLA.
Well, this is quite an interesting issue, though, isn't it? Because I've been talking to council officers and members this morning about the difficulty of mono-tenure and how that's a thing of the past, and we don't want that. But what you're saying is that the only thing we can get is mono-tenure. We only get the good stuff in a sense. We only get the affordable, we only get the social.
That's true to a point. So on our regenerations, we're not making them 100% mono-tenure. We are looking at the first phases being social, which is different to historically because you would combine the two and you get the cross-subsidy from the private to get that mixed tenure early on. So they will start relatively mono-tenure But over time, hopefully things improve and the world changes a bit. We see more other tenures coming into those schemes.
Great.
So,
Thanks, Paul. Erin, what about this site in particular? This building behind us.
Yeah.
What's going to happen here? This is like a classic sort of small site, isn't it?
Yeah, so today we're at Wickway Community Centre. So this is one of the 4 that we have in terms of our partnership with Southwark as part of the portfolio. So here we're looking at all affordable homes, all intermediate homes. We're looking at replacing the community centre on the ground floor. We're also right by Burgess Park, so it will offer really good amenity for the residents here as well. But it just helps uplift homes in areas on unutilised land at the moment. So the community centre will also be a huge part for the residents that are already here as well.
And what is it about a site like this? Like, it's a scrap of land, isn't it, effectively? So why is it possible to build homes here when it isn't possible to build homes in so many other places?
I think it's really good of Southwark to look at their portfolio and see where the opportunities are, and we've been able to come in and help them do that as well and look at what you can do with these parcels of land. Southwark have been really active with their residents and communities in terms of engagement, so they've really worked hard with them to unlock these pieces of land, and that's helped bring these portfolios of sites forward. So it's really good opportunity from Southwark to look at these pieces of land to ensure that we can just deliver more homes really for the people that need it in the borough.
So what's the art of the possible on a site like this? I mean, how many homes could you build if everybody agreed and everybody was delighted and happy to go ahead? What's the maximum you could get?
So we'd be, say, looking around here for around 150 homes, and it might be over 2 buildings. And of course, as we said, mixture of tenures, potentially more intermediate on this one. We're looking at more social rent across the wider portfolio with Southwark. Just that kind of blend helps kind of cross-subsidise those two, but we're getting the grant levels into the both forms of affordable to help bring these forward.
And from today, first half of 2026, when will people be moving into flats here? In optimistically?
yeah.
Optimistically, we're looking at around 5 years or so, potentially. But yeah, we've still got some work to do with the community to ensure that we've got the right solution here, and we're making the most of our scarce land in London. We've got the right solution in terms of development proposals as well.
So how long do you spend in that engagement period? How long do you spend talking to people?
Probably got a 6 months to a year period of engagement and going through the planning process to ensure that the scheme is deliverable and works well with the community.
So that's like quite an in-depth conversation you're having with people. What sort of questions will they be asking? What sort of things will you be offering? What's up for grabs?
There's been a lot of engagement that has already taken place on these sites, so we need to be really respectful of what's happened in the past, and we need to build upon that.
Because people get tired of being asked over and over again.
You don't want to get consultation fatigue, but equally we want to ensure that we've respected what has been said to date, but equally we also need to ensure that these schemes are deliverable and we can get on and deliver the right home for the people that need it in the area. So through the consultation period, through our planning process, we'll be taking the community on a journey with us and ensuring they're kept up to speed with our proposals. We've got transparent, open communication, and they know who to talk to about our emerging proposals. So we'll hopefully be taking them on the journey as we look to kind of take these schemes through that early pre-planning process.
And on a site like this, how big is that community? I mean, where do you draw the red line around who you're talking to?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, it can be maybe a kilometre or so just to kind of see who's interested, but it's these immediate neighbours are going to be our kind of key communication points really, and we know that they've had key working groups already on these sites, so we'd be looking to establish links into those community groups that were already established in the past to ensure that we are working with those voices that are already part of the initial consultation. And we also want to ensure that we engage with those that are hard to reach, so the people that might not have engaged with the process in the past but equally want to see things change in their area potentially and want to have a say about it. So it's about trying to reach as many people as possible.
So given the strengths of the company, where do you see it going in the next sort of 5-10 years?
I think in London, our strategy is very much around a long-term play on multiple sites with long-term partnerships with local authorities, with London boroughs, places that we know and trust and have worked with for years and years and years as a contractor and a developer. And because we've built a lot for those boroughs, we've built up a trust and a relationship, which means they are prepared to go into long-term partnerships with us to deliver homes where we invest our money, and we either invest it on our own or in joint venture or through a development agreement to make it work. So when we look at opportunities at the moment in London, like many of the house builders, we're not really looking at buying land, but we are looking at targeting regeneration relationships with London boroughs. So we've currently got long-term partnerships with Harrow and Havering and Southwark. We've got good relationships with Bryant on multiple sites. We are in dialogue on another partnership in the borough in London at the moment, and we're targeting 2 or 3 others. And we do think together we can generate new housing over the short term. Medium, long term, I think we'll see the house builders come back into London. I think we'll see the investors come back into London, but I don't think it'll be fixed tomorrow. I think we've got another 12, 18 months of challenge, if I'm honest.
What's the capacity of Wates to deliver for London? I mean, how many projects like this could you take on? How many partnerships can you forge?
Yeah, we're growing. We've got a really strong development team, and our construction part of the business is so well established that we can keep delivering. We've got that capacity, but we know what the development cycle's like. It takes a long time to get sites from concept to start on site at the moment, with planning challenges, with engagement that we need to do with the building safety regulator, that we're able to kind of plan ahead as well and adapt to things as we grow, really. So we're eager to kind of keep bringing in partnerships into the business.
We managed to get well into an interview before anyone mentioned the building safety regulator.
I know,
I was
thinking that. I was like, I need to get it in somewhere.
Yeah. Toby, something you haven't asked me about, which I've deliberately stayed away from, is the building safety regulation. Clearly, everyone is starting to get to grips with it now, but London is a plethora of high-risk buildings. Most of the schemes we work on are high-risk buildings. We've recently deliberately targeted below 6-storey to avoid the gateways. The gateways are getting their acts in order. It is taking time. We've now got a bit of blockage on Gateway 3s across London, which is frustrating.
So Gateway 3, just to explain, that's when you're handing over effectively to occupation. So you finish building, is it ready for people to actually move in?
Exactly, and no one can move in until you've achieved Gateway 3. So Gateway 2 is getting the design right, saying, yes, that's okay. You've got to deliver it, and Gateway 3 is confirming you've done what you said you're going to do, quite frankly. So I have avoided it because it's been very frustrating for the industry and delayed a lot of schemes. I think the other thing about it is recognising the viability effect. If you're building a tall building, on every floor you've got to have a second staircase and a second lift shaft and a whole plethora of other all well-purposed things, you cost more and you lose space, so you lose value. Yeah. So we can lose a flatter floor, effectively, or definitely a roomber floor. Yeah. So a flat every 2 floors.
And if you're selling those at £400,000...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a lot of money.
So that is a challenge, but I do think it's getting easier and getting better. And I think we're all collectively understanding it better. But it is difficult.
What needs to change in order to get more homes built?
That's a massive question, Toby. I don't think any of us shy away from how challenging London is at the moment. If we look at the level of starts over the last 12 months, the level of planning permissions, the levels of need, we're in a critical situation. I don't think we should shy away from that. I think the government has done a good job at unlocking some of the bureaucracy around delivering new homes. So some of the planning changes they've made, some of the new proposals they're putting in place around dual aspect, etc., the changes they're consulting on around the number of affordable on sites, etc., is really helpful, but it's not enough. And unfortunately, there needs to be a stimulus to get the housing market moving. Whether that's through some sort of stamp duty holiday or relief or reduction, or it's something around Help to Buy or encouraging or supporting first-time buyers get into the world of buying, or it's something around mortgage levels and how much people can borrow in the current climate. Currently, you can rent a property for £500 more than you could get a mortgage on, but you couldn't get a mortgage to buy that property. Right, yeah. You know, there's a whole realm of things that need to happen. And unfortunately, something does need to change because whether you want 20% affordable, 30% affordable, 40% affordable, if your private homes aren't selling, you can't do any more affordable, you know, and we can't expect the GLA and the government to bail out that affordable solution long term. So it is difficult. I think in Southwark, back here, we've got a mature developer that understands building homes. They've got an excellent track record of new housing in Southwark of all tenures. And it's been refreshing for us and encouraging to see how experienced and professional they are as a borough in understanding the needs of the borough, the challenges around viability, and how they can work with us to make it work. And we're hoping across the first 4 sites, which is sort of 350 homes, to get, you know, over 40% what we would call social housing, you know, general needs housing for people that desperately need homes in London through a combination of cross-subsidy. And one of the the benefits of what they're doing within the portfolio, there's different parts of Southwark that understandably have got different values, and hopefully we can benefit from that by cross-subsidising one site to the next.
Okay.
And I don't think we've got... there's another 7 or 8 sites in the portfolio for both ourselves and the other development partner, Mount Anvil, and obviously we're keen to do more with Southwark, and we're just starting to look at those other sites as well to see if they can help deliver more homes as quickly as possible.
And so is the deal set up as a sort of competitive kind of situation, so that whoever delivers out the most or the best gets first dibs on the next sites?
I don't think it is. The way the deal is actually set up, we've each got a portfolio of sites, and I think it's within Southwark's gift over who looks at the next site. And to be fair, we've got different skill sets.
Yeah.
So Mount Anvil, and they've got different skill sets to us. And I think...
How would you describe your skill set?
I think we are very good at combining development with construction. So we're very good builders, and we understand development, prepared to invest in development. We're also lucky that we're a family business who can take a long-term view to investment. Maybe not some of the risks of the fast turnarounds, but they're very comfortable taking a long-term view, believing that the returns come over that period. And that's really beneficial on regeneration, which we all know takes an awfully long time.
It does. Yeah. Erin, we've just had an article at the weekend, as we filmed the weekend before, in the Financial Times, saying that London's basically stopped building homes.
Yeah.
What's when you look forward at Wates' own business and at the market as a whole, what are your predictions? Are we going to be building more homes this year, next year, the year after?
We're optimistic, but we're hopeful there'll be government intervention, I'd say, into that private sales market. Can they look at, as Paul mentioned, things like stamp duty, things like Help to Buy, just in terms of helping it in the short term? And then if it recovers, can we come back again? Things like interest rates, if that starts to move again over the next year, will that help as well? But we can't say for certain if that's going to help also, or if it's going to happen. But yeah, our feeling is would it be some government intervention to help the kind of private market come back again?
But government intervention to support private sales is just going to raise, this is the argument against it, right? That it'll raise the cost of a private home because more money is available to buy private homes. And we're back into that old spiral of property prices soaring and being unaffordable still to people who now can't afford homes, while people who've got more money are able to invest in property. And it's effectively a kind of pension scheme rather than shelter. Doesn't that system seem a bit mad? Is there a way out of that? Or am I just being really pessimistic?
No, I don't think you are, Toby. And I think we have seen a lot of that. And we have seen, you hear these horror stories of empty homes and people buying them investment and just sitting there for growth. But the reality is prices now are similar to 2016. So anyone that's invested in the last 10 years is not going to see growth in their property in London, with some exceptions, but generally. So it's no longer an investment play in the way it was before, and consequently investors aren't investing in London, and consequently there is nobody building homes. So when we look at pension funds, etc., they have actually taken on private rented market portfolios, build to rent, single family accommodation, etc. And they will invest in properties to rent out. Now that is part of our fabric, and they're an important part of our fabric. They've stopped investing in London, and you've got to say we need to do enough to bring them back into London without that challenge of seeing property prices spiral and disappear in the ether. But the reality at the moment is if you buy a property in London, it's got to go up at least 10% to cover your stamp duty and moving costs before you've even broken even.
Yeah.
And it's then got to go up again before it's seen as a proper investment that you make a return on. And that's the nub of the problem.
So are we in a burst bubble? Is that what's actually happening? We just can't see it yet because we're inside it.
I don't know if we're in a burst bubble. I think build costs have gone up 40% over 5 years. Sales values have been static at best. And that creates a whole new dynamic in the world. Local authorities are playing much wider role now, partly because their land, they are prepared to put in for affordable housing effectively, which is a great way of doing things, So they will have a bigger part to play in that. And I do believe it can work. If you look at places like Manchester, they're having quite a success story at the moment, and they're seeing a benefit of good targeted government intervention financially and attraction to the private sector, incentives to the private sector to make that city boom. And we need to do a bit of that in London, quickly.
Paul, on that I'm going to take that optimistic note and use that as an end point. Paul, Erin, thank you very much for your role in 1.5 million new homes.
Thank you.
And that's it for another episode of 1.5 Million New Homes, the Local Government Challenge, sponsored by Redloft and Wates Residential and Bouygues UK and Mount Anvil and HTA Design. But we are going to be back with more from the London Borough of Southwark in just a few days. So subscribe and hit like and you won't miss those episodes. Look forward to seeing you then.